Jagrative. There's so many different ways to look at spiritual growth. The ones that are most meaningful are not the mystical things that you do during some spiritual experience. It is how you look at the path to where it completely integrates with your everyday life. There is no spiritual and non-spiritual. You are either headed at all times in a spiritual direction, or you are not. You are what makes it spiritual or not spiritual. Your intention, your motivations, your willful efforts. Life is not spiritual or non-spiritual. It's life. So for example, people talk about things like marriage, family, careers, financial positions, financial strengths and positions, your position in a community, your service to a community, anything. There was something very interesting about that list I gave you, which is not the way people would look at it. They all had something very common, a common aspect to them. They were things in and of themselves. My family, my marriage, my career, my service to my community, whatever it is, my financial wherewithal and standings. They're like goals. They're like ends in and of themselves. They're things that you strive for. They're things that you think about. They're things that you define how you want them to be. They're each one of them. And then you work on those. And they're very disjointed. Like that which you're doing for your career might be completely at odds with family, with your relationship, with what you're doing for, to impress people, to your stature and community, may be completely at odds with your financial well-being, et cetera, et cetera. These things are seen as things in and of themselves, like objects, like your car, your house. That's a problem. Why? You don't know what to do at any given moment. Because you have all these different objectives, call them goals. It's like in the Western mind, we're goal-oriented. You want to get married by how old? You want to have how many children? What kind of money do you want in the bank? What do you want your career to be? How do you want people to think about you? Dress accordingly, et cetera, et cetera. We're very goal-oriented, and each of these things is a goal. And they're seen as independent things. Well, that's not the truth. Life is life. It's just one whole. And until you learn to live it that way, you're in big trouble. And very few people get to live it that way. But this is one way to discuss it. So let's discuss it that way. That we set up these things, these goals, as separate silos, as independent things. And then for each one you set up, your mind looks at it independently. So what do you want your relationship world to be like? Well, you better decide. You better decide how you want it to be so that you can have that goal. It's so common, it's so natural. But you understand, I'm going to talk to you about this in a very different way, all right? Why? Because it doesn't work that way, which is why people have so much trouble. It doesn't work to say, I have these different aspects of my life, and I need to set my goals for each one, and then I need to decide what it is that I want to achieve in each one of these things by different stages, and then I have to figure out how to go do that. You are now a neurotic mess. Just that. Just doing that will make you a neurotic mess. But what becomes interesting is the decisions you make with each of these silos. You know what I mean by silos? They're things in and of themselves. Your timing for your family, for your marriage, for your career, for all this stuff may not be in line with the timings for other things, and et cetera, et cetera. And so they're just, each thing is a thing in and of itself, and that's how you look at it, as a thing in and of itself. So that's what's called a silo. It's like thinking in silos. And so basically you have these, and aside from how difficult it is to set your goals for these, and then try to use your life, because ultimately you're going to be dealing with the moments of your life, that's what unfolds in front of you, you try to use your life to make those different things happen. There's nothing saying that these goals are consistent, and they're not consistent. Why would they be consistent? They're not meant to be consistent. You may have a thing about a relationship with somebody, but you also have a thing about family. But what if you find out that they don't want to have a family? They want you more than anything in the whole world, and they're your soulmate, you know that. But they just have this thing, and they never wanted to have children. And you always wanted to have children. It's called direct collision. Or, perfectly, there you are. You got the kids, you got the family, those two lined up, but you can't get a job. You're go nowhere's job. And there's this opportunity that you always thought the type of thing you'd want to go on, but it's up in Alaska. And the kids don't want to move to Alaska, nor does the significant person you're with. Maybe you know something about what I'm talking about. Nobody says these things line up because you thought of them in a silo. You saw them as independent things. And so you set your goals accordingly. And so now as life unfolds, there's nothing saying that these are not at odds and in conflict with each other. And that I just listed as big conflicts. The real conflict is I'm sitting here at a given moment in life. That's reality. I'm here at this moment in life. Life is unfolding. Life is like a motion picture in which you stand and participate in it. You're not the director. You don't know if it's going to rain or not. You don't know if this person's going to be in a good mood or not. You don't know if you're going to get the job or not. You don't know if someone's going to like you or not. You don't know anything. At any given moment, you don't know anything. Wherever you are, anything can happen. So the best you can do is, I talked to you about driving on the road of life. Life is unfolding. You're here. You're going to interact with it. With at least the part that's unfolding in front of you, you have to interact with it. Based on what? Well, based on how do you drive? Based on where I want to go. Well, where do you want to go? You just listed 8 or 10 of these silo-oriented goals. And at any given moment, life is unfolding. Which one are you going to drive toward? That's why you have so much trouble with decisions. That's why life seems so complicated. That's why it seems overwhelmed. Decisions. Someday, and I've said it before, but I know I've stopped saying because you don't like it, there are no decisions. There's the illusion of decisions. Decisions are created by what I just told you. You have inside your head all these silos of what you want and what you don't want on these big topics. You got a lot of little topics too. Right? At any given moment, I want to get a certain kind of ice cream cone or something like that, right? But basically, you want to find out what's happening, who's with what. But the bigger ones are these things I've been talking about, these goals you set in your life, the main things. So at any given moment, life is unfolding. You're interacting with it. The reality is life has nothing to do to do with your dreams and your hopes and your concepts and your views and your preferences and your silos. It has nothing to do with that. Life belongs to life. There's 15 people in a room. They're going about their business. Their business is not my business. They don't know my business, and they don't care. They're busy with their business. So that my concepts about what I want going on in my goals are very private to me. They are what are going on inside of me. Therefore, you are out of harmony with reality. What does that mean? It means I pick you up, I put you into a situation, and you have these thoughts going on inside your head. I'm going to call them the silos because I gave them that. You have these individual goals that you've been dreaming of or things you're afraid of, whatever it is. That's who you are. You are those. You don't even know which one to listen to because you got a whole bunch of them. When I drop you into reality, reality doesn't know about that. Reality has nothing to do with that. Nobody asked you your goals. Nobody asked you what you want. Nobody asked you what your priorities are. When I pick you up and put you in a restaurant, they don't ask you that. They ask you what you want to eat. When you go to class, they teach what they teach. If I drop you on a vacation somewhere, that's where you are. You're carrying you into that situation. Otherwise, there's not you in that situation. The situation belongs to the situation. The weather is what it is. People's moods are what they are. Circumstances are what they are. So now we have you, these silos, these concepts and views and opinions and preferences and goals and all that kind of stuff, dropped into reality, dropped into the world, dropped into the universe. It has nothing to do with you. So therefore you are out of harmony with it. It's not out of harmony with you. Reality always wins. But I needed to get somewhere. There's a terrible time to have an accident. Reality wins. Reality always wins. Reality unfolds, and there it is right there in front of you. Reality reigns when she reigns and doesn't when she doesn't. She just does her thing. People like you when they like you, and they don't like you when they don't like you. Doesn't mean you can't do something about it in the future. I didn't say that. You are part of the input that is affecting reality. You're there also. But in terms of right now, what's going on, it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with all the forces that caused it to happen. It just is what it is because of all the forces of creation. Then you're dropped into this. This is so simple, but nobody will talk about this. It seems like, why am I stressing this? Because we don't live this. We don't believe this. We act as if it's not that way. We act as if reality is supposed to be the way we decided everything should be. And if it's not, something's wrong. It's not true. You're wrong. That you sat there and did all this stuff inside your head about what you want and what you don't want. I'm going to get back to these silos in a minute. But all these different goals, now I drop you in. Reality is a motion picture that's unfolding around you. You now have to decide, how are you going to interact with that motion picture? And what you're going to do is try to decide which of these goals, which of these silos is most important at this moment, which might set you at odds not only with reality, but with your other goals. And so, 10 minutes from now, you're going to be confused. And that's how we live. And that's not a good way to live. And ultimately, you will go nowhere that way. You might, if you sit there and stress one particular goal, people do that, stress my career, stress my family, then later you're talking to the kids, I gave up my best years for you. I could have been so-and-so. It's like, wow. Because you split yourself into pieces. And so there's no harmony, there's no oneness, there's no sense of integrity. That's what the word integrity means. Integrity means you're an integrated being. And you don't have all these silos. You're an integrated being. You stand before the moment, and there is nothing at odds inside of you. Nothing. Ever. You are completely a whole being who is interacting with the reality of what's unfolding in front of you. Maybe that will help if I skip everything and show you the end. And I'm telling you, this state exists inside of you. It seems impossible because we're so busy thinking in terms of these silos, in terms of these goals, right? There is a state inside your being that every single one of you are capable of achieving and reaching, where when you stand before the reality that's unfolding in front of you, there's only one of you there, you. And there's not conflict and confusion, and there's not decisions. There's just you're there, and reality is there. And not only are you not at odds with any part of your being, there is nothing in your being that is at odds with anything that's unfolding in reality ever. Reality is reality, and you're here experiencing it and dealing with it. And that's all there is that's going on. That's what Ram Dass meant by be here now. That's it. That's what Christ meant when he said, if thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be filled with light. If thine eye be dual, how great is the darkness inside of you. If you're split in there into various pieces, it's impossible. And the very fact that you're split, now you can't be in harmony with reality because you don't know which part of you to be interacting with reality. I want you to be close to me and so on, but I got to go to work. So I'm now torn with me and I'm torn with you. Whatever you have going on inside of you will project to the outside. We're talking now about spirituality. So this thing of unifying your being versus choosing between the different parts of your being, this concept of I am here to interact with reality, not reality is supposed to be doing what I decided, or I'll make it do that. No, you won't. And at any point, even while you're trying, you will be denying the other 7 silos that you have in there to commit yourself to try to use your will to do one. And you know what that's like. You live like that. And so all of a sudden you think you're achieving something, and then other parts of your being come up and you're depressed. It's unbelievable. I can't decide. Should I put my focus on the relationship? It could be, but I got this career thing I'm going on, right? You are going to be so confused. You will not even begin to know what to follow. And then even once you think you choose what to follow, life will not behave. It won't. It will never be the way you want. Why? Because it's cause. Listen to me, things have causes. Scientists look for causes, don't they? Every single thing that exists is causes. None of the things that exist are being created by what you want. They're being created by physics and psychology and chemistry and everything else. They have laws behind them as to why they are the way they are. And none of those laws are what are going on inside of you. Therefore, it will never be the way you want. It just creates so much confusion, it's unbelievable. All right? What does one do about this? How can one fix this and work with this? So, one thing I've noticed in trying to teach this is it's an all or nothing thing. It's not like, well, he's right, for an hour, You know what spirituality becomes? Another silo. That's what they do with it. It's another silo. Since I got into yoga and meditation and stuff, I swear it's worse, because I still have my career and I still have the finance and I still have the kids. Now I have these other things I want to do because I'm really committed to that. It doesn't work that way. It just makes it worse, not better. All right. So first, can you get out? Yes. It is a life decision. It's not a weekend decision. It's not a 1 hour a day decision. It's not a for the next 3 years. It's like this. If I ask you, what are you doing today? Where are you going? What are you doing? You might say to me, I'm going to the store to buy something. Or you might say to me, I'm going to go to college in 6 months from now. I'm going off to Harvard and do a thing. Well, part of going there is to buy something so that you can eat. So this thing you're doing right now is a subset of the thing you're doing. They're both right if you say, I'm going to the store to pick something up. I ask you, what's going on in your life? What are you doing? Where are you going? How you going to answer me? I'm going to take a right. I'm going to the store to pick something up. I'm going to college next year. I'm going on a career path where I want to find a cure to cancer. That's why you're turning right, to go get something to eat so that you can continue studying, so that you can go to Harvard. Which level is it at? They're all true, aren't they? If I ask you, where are you going? What level are you living your life? Is it just this moment, whatever happens to be bothering you or turning you on, that's where you're going and that's what you're doing? Or do you have vision? Are you looking above that? Because if you're dealing with the individual little pieces, when I said 6 or 7 silos, multiply it times about 6,000. Because that's how many little pieces there are at any given moment that are affecting what you're doing or where you're going. What level are you viewing these things? So a wise being understands that if I keep it at the micro level, just what's bothering me now, what do I need now, what do I want, what do I not want, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going there, right? And none of the pieces tie together. They don't aim anywhere. They don't go anywhere. So it's funny, because it almost sounds like I'm talking about goals. I am. But at the end, there's only one goal, and it incorporates everything. That's the difference. At the level I just talked about, the little level, which isn't even the silos yet, I wasn't even talking about relationships, all that's bigger, right? But this little level, where I just got to get something to drink, I'm just so thirsty. And that's it. That's the purpose of your life, to get something to drink. Or, I want to meet somebody, I'm lonely. And the next thing you know, you're just dealing with the momentary reaction that's going on inside of you, and you end up, that's what you're doing. Well, if you do that, where are you going beyond that? Nowhere. The dots aren't tied together. Right? You're just dealing with what's turning you on or turning you off at the moment. Therefore, you're not going anywhere. Sure I am, I'm going to get something to drink. Fine. That's as far as you're going. Then what? Then something else will bother you or something else will turn you on. And there's no purpose to your life. There's no direction. There's nothing going on. And it's a very confusing and difficult thing, and you'll never succeed at anything. If I take that to the extreme, you can't have a job because you like it and then somebody criticizes you and you don't like it, so you're out of here. It's so short-lived, you'll never succeed at anything. Now we go beyond that, and okay, you pick your eye up and you start saying, I want the relationship, I want to have a career, I want to get married, I want to do it, whatever it is. You set some of these silos. The problem with that, I told you, is at those situations, at any given moment when life is unfolding, which one are you committing yourself to? Which one of those silos are you deciding, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll give up this, I'll do that. And it's very complicated and it's very difficult. And if you go with one, it will feel inspiring. If you don't go with the others, it will feel depressing. And that's why you have both of those things going on inside of you. And you can't find your path. You can't find something to fully put your passion and your whole being into. Because anytime you do, the other stuff falls apart. Why? Because you're not putting your energy into it. So you go put your energy in your career and your relationship falls apart. You put it in a relationship, your career falls apart. Or who the heck knows? Whatever it is. It just becomes bifurcated. So the answer, just as you saw that the really shallow stuff didn't even get you a relationship or a career at all, what happened that you at least dealt with those silos? You picked your eyes up and set your goals higher than the tiny little stuff. So that maybe if you're sitting there and you're at work and something's happening, your boss is there and you feel thirsty, maybe you don't get a drink. You commit yourself, that little thing doesn't happen. Or if you feel a little bit bored, you make sure you don't show it. You sit up straight and you do things to overcome the momentary little stupid things that if you followed them, you wouldn't get the bigger thing. Now, so you can see why I'm saying it, now let's call those silo things that you call big, what if you pick your eye up even higher? That's what we're talking about. Every time you lift above the bifurcation, the multiplicity, it becomes closer to oneness. So I try to teach you this all the time. The only reason you want the career is you want to feel successful, you want people to be proud of you, blah, 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 whatever it is. The reason you want the relationship is you want somebody to like you, they have some special thing, and whatever it is. It makes you feel better. Everything you're doing with all those silos has a commonality. The commonality is it lifts me. That's why I want it. I want finance, okay, so I can be independent. I don't have to worry about things. So I want to have enough funds. Nothing wrong with it, but at least look what you're doing. If it made you depressed and scared and neurotic to have money, then you wouldn't want it. It's because you think it will make you feel wholer and secure and more independent. Very good. So you start defining that what you're looking for is this inner sense of well-being. That's what it comes down to. That's why you want the relationships, that's why you want the family, that's why you want the career, that's why you want to feel like you're helping people. I want well-being of high inside upliftment. Very good. If you will set that as your goal, it transcends all those individual silos. So all of a sudden now, instead of looking at, I'm hungry and tired and just running after that stuff, so you end up going nowheres, now you're looking more toward career and family and so on. And so now you set that higher, but notice now you have the problem of they compete with each other and you've got all this problem, right? Now look higher. And that's the next step. What I'm looking for when I ask you next time, where are you going? What are you doing right now? I'm following the highest path I can to give the most meaning to my entire life. Not within 5 minutes, not within the next 5 years, but you're on a life path. That's how you think. You think in terms of the lifetime, not in terms of what are you going to do tonight. It fits into what you set your goals at, what you set your eyes at. And imagine if you set your eyes, now let's just go there quickly because I don't want you getting confused. What if you set your eye to say, I was born and I'm going to die. In between, I have this thing called time. It's mine. It doesn't belong to my mother or my father or my husband or my child. It's my time. That's the time that was given to me. What do you want to do with it? All right? So now you're saying, I was born, I'm going to die, just like everybody else. In between, I have this time. What do I want to do with it? Because if you don't do what I'm talking about, you're going to do this little stuff. When I mean little stuff, I don't mean, oh, I don't feel good, I want to call somebody. I mean, I want to get married, and I want to have kids, and I want to do this, and I want to have a career, and I want people to be proud. That's little stuff. People do that, and they still have midlife crises. It's not high enough. It's not aiming your eye high enough. And the fact that it's still bifurcated is why it doesn't work. You're having to choose between one and another. You always have a trade. They tell you life is a trade-off. Life is not a trade-off. Life is only a trade-off if you're not aiming high enough. Otherwise, life is very straightforward. You were born and you were going to die. There is time in between. What do you want to do with it? Because I doubt you're going to say, I want to just waste it running around doing this and that, or fighting with people, or changing jobs all the time. That is not what you're going to say. You're going to say something higher. And that's what this talks about. That's spirituality. Spirituality is where you aim when you're clear. So you learn, instead of using your thoughts and your mind and all this stuff to get all involved in these silos, which create all this conflict, you take some time every day, and you'll see what I mean by that in a moment. You take some time every day to remember to set your life path. God, can we call it that? Your life path. So what does it mean to pick a life path? Well, be very careful about picking your life path, because that's aiming a vector that has time behind it. So wherever you aim, if you ain't even slightly off, you know how that can go. And I've discussed this with you. I'll help you, because I spent a lot of time looking at that. Ultimately, you will realize every decision you're going to make in your life is about high. It's just about high. You want to be high. You want to feel love. You want to feel joy. You want to feel passion. You want to feel inspiration. You want to feel like you know exactly where you're going and how to do it. And you can put your whole being into it. And you're so turned on. You wake up in the morning. You can't wait to get to work. You can't wait to get anything you're doing. You just rush off. Oh my God. You're like Einstein. You don't even brush your hair. Just get me to the blackboard. And that's how you live. That's not a bad life, is it? Always turned on, always inspired, always passionate about what's going on, and no bifurcation, just total commitment. There's nothing. Einstein wasn't split. That man had his whole being devoted to a very high level, and he didn't get disturbed by these little stupid things that were going on all around him. And so there was this tremendous passion that always was there. It's really neat to read about him. And Gandhi was the same way. And aren't I talking about people that had life paths? Look at Gandhi. Look at King. Look at great athletes. People that found a way to one-pointedly devote their whole being to something, and something that was bigger than them, that was big enough that it took their life, it took their whole life to aim toward that. They woke up every morning, they ate. An athlete eats based on it, sleeps based on it, has relationships based on it. That everything they do, they're deciding off of this. If you can do that, so that now when you're facing life, there's no question how you interact with it. You interact with it in the way that leads to your life path. And life can't be wrong. It's not like something's happening in life that's stopping you. Your goal is to interact with whatever's happening to you and use it as fuel to carry out your life path. And all of a sudden, there's no more bifurcation. There's no more confusion. There's no more anything, because you don't have multiple goals. You have one. This is where I'm aiming myself. This is where I want to go. And so now somebody comes up and says, oh, you want to go do this? Your first thought and feeling is, how does this fit into my life path? The ideal is that the whole of your being is one. This is what I want to do. As much as a lover loves their beloved, newlywed couple, that second day they can't wait to be together. That's how you feel about your life path all the time, every day. It's not a discipline. It's not a renunciation. Right? It's not a renunciation to not be doing the things that don't take you on your life path if your whole being wants to stay on that path. This is the highest. But you didn't tell me what the life path was. That's not the point. It's not goal orientation. It is one-pointedness to where your whole being, your heart, your mind, your soul, everything is aimed in one direction, so that whatever is unfolding in front of you, people, places, things, everything, every single thing, it's being looked at in relationship to, I'm going here, here's roads in front of me, where do I turn, how fast do I go, what do I do, when do I pull up, that leads me as quickly as possible where the entirety of my being wants to go. Where's the confusion now? I always say to you, there's no decisions. At that point, there's no decisions. You already made your decision. A wise being made their decision a long time ago. This is my life path. And all I'm doing is steering accordingly. I'm going to California. Well, how do you decide what road to go on? The one that leads to California. That's all. How do you know if you're on the wrong road? It's not leading to California. What do? Get on the road that does. It's very easy. There's no more confusion. There's no more bifurcation. There's no more anything. Your whole being becomes one-pointed. There's nothing else in you but that. That is spirituality. Now, how would one decide what the life goal is that's going to do that? So beautiful. You don't. If you want to call it God, that's the highest you can do. In other words, you sit there and you say, there is something very beautiful inside of me. What? That experience of oneness, that total commitment and passion towards something. That's a beautiful thing inside of you, isn't it? When you feel it, it's inside of you. The whole of your being is aimed that way. That's my life path. That's why they say it's not goal orientation. It's not, I want to become this, I want to do that. I want to experience this all the time. I want to experience this all the time. Every second. I feel passionate, turned on, totally sure about where I'm going and what I'm doing, and just putting my whole being into every single second of everything I'm doing and seeing the constant growth of getting closer to it and the excitement and joy of that. That's the life I want you to live. That's a very spiritual life. How do you live that? By deciding that when I interact with life, the things that are lower than that, I'm not doing those. That's not my goal. That's not what I'm doing. I'm not playing around with it. I'm going to put all my energy up high. Now, yogis found the following. They found that just as your eyes can be looking higher or lower through your life, the energies inside of you do that. And that there are lower energies. They're not bad, they're not evil, they're not right or wrong or anything. They're just lower energies. They won't take you anywheres. You get hungry, and then you eat, and then you're hungry again. Where did it take you? Doesn't mean you don't eat. But if you make your life about, I'm hungry, I want to eat, you're not going to go anywhere. You just sit around eating once in a while, and you didn't get anywhere. It's the same thing with relationships. I'm lonely, I don't feel whole, I feel really lonely. All right, well, fine, go ahead and find somebody and go through all that. And then maybe you still feel lonely, or maybe you don't when you're with them, or maybe they leave you and you feel lonely again. I don't know. You just made loneliness run your life. Whether you succeed in not feeling lonely, or whether you keep feeling lonely, the fact that you're having to do something in order to reach that state means you're not doing all the other things. You have to commit yourself to loneliness. I have to be satisfied with this person, keep them around me, make sure they don't leave, make sure they don't, I'm jealous, make sure they don't go off with somebody else. Anybody know anything about it? I have chosen that I have a problem that's low. You're not going anywhere. So you have to set your goal higher than your lower energies. Otherwise, your lower energies will decide what you're doing and you will go nowheres. And then lonely is not the only thing I'm dealing with. That's a level of an emotion. So if I'm committing myself to not feeling lonely, what did I do about all the other emotions? Right? I'm saying you decide to aim your eyes much higher above all of that. You look at your lower energies and you say, I am not going to let my life be devoted to you. How? By not letting your life be devoted to it. I told you the yogic method of stopping smoking. Do not put cigarettes in your mouth when you feel the urge to do so. And it's miraculous. You will stop smoking. It is the same thing here. You're going to have these lower energies pulling at you, whether they be desires or fears. They're going to manifest those different ways. If you just keep giving in to those, then you didn't use life and the energies inside and outside of you to go higher. Now you know what I mean by go higher. Literally, and I know this is so zen and so hard to understand, that in and of itself is the only definition you need for your life goal. But we didn't define what, I know. You defined what you're not doing, and the result is what you're doing. Otherwise, it becomes a mental thing that will betray you once again. That's why Lao Tzu said, a wise man follows no goals, a fool fetters many. It's very, very deep, but it's real. So if I see there are these lower energies, I don't mean lower mean negative, they're just lower energy, they don't go anywhere. They're momentary. How do you like that? They're certainly lower in relationship to a life goal. What kind of a life goal is that? I want to eat. I don't want to be lonely. That's not a life goal. I want to have money, enough money to do whatever I want. There are lots of people that have a lot of money. They get in a lot of trouble with their money, especially doing whatever they want. It doesn't get them anywheres. So you just get to the point where you realize these are not life goals. A life goal is a life goal. It's something that carries you for your whole life. It doesn't go here and there and halfway around. It's something that at any given moment is there for you to follow and guide you like an arrow throughout your entire life. So one way of working with this, and it's the real way, is to say, I'm not defining a fixed thing, because that will just betray me. I'm seeing that there are lower energies and that I'm higher than that. And so I'm steering higher. I'm steering higher. That's all. So that you start seeing that energies are pulling you around. What you do is, I don't know how to tell you, you just look higher. That's what yogis mean by put the attention on the point between your eyebrows and don't take it off. look higher. Take your attention and put it at the point between the eyebrows and never take it off. You just set the highest life goal that can possibly be set. What? Taking your energy and putting it at the point between your eyebrows. That's it. I don't understand. I know. Someday you will. An event is taking place. You feel lonely. Right? Well, you have a choice. Get involved in loneliness or put your attention at the point between your eyebrows and never take it off. If you will pull all your energies up there, you will start to feel inspired all the time. Why? Because those energies are inspired. When they go up, everything's beautiful. You can look at a roach and fall into ecstasy. When you're beautiful, everything's beautiful. When you look at a painting and it melts you because it's so beautiful, the painting is not beautiful. Bring somebody else in, they'll think it's ugly. The painting is just paint on a thing. It's by looking at the painting, it made your Shakti, your chi, your energy inside raise up. It rose up, and now you're looking at a painting, and inside you're going into ecstasy and joy and beauty and peace or love or something's happening inside of you. And so you say, oh my God, that painting is so beautiful. And it's not true. What's beautiful is what's going on inside of you. If you looked at that painting and it made you feel sick to your stomach, you would not say it's beautiful. And by the way, let me show you a quick change. That's a Monet. In fact, that is the only painting in the world that both Monet and Renoir painted together. It was secret that they did this, all right? And there it is, and it's the epitome of both of their techniques and everything. And you're looking at it, it's melting, you're dying, right? The person says, just kidding. How you feel with the painting now? Or the person who's showing it to you, right? Well, it kind of changes, doesn't it? It's not the painting, it's you. And that's true of all of life. So you can get inspired by anything. You can get passionate about anything. I want you to get inspired and passionate about everything, because then no matter how life is unfolding, you're seeing it as beautiful. You're seeing it as challenging. You're seeing it as your life path. It's part of your life path. What if something's happening in the world that's challenging your ability to keep your attention at the point between your eyebrows? To a yogi, to a being who has a true life path, that's the most exciting thing in the whole world. Because it's like playing the U.S. against Russia in hockey. It's so close. It's so exciting. That's the game that everyone wanted to talk about. They didn't want to talk about the one that was 62-1. It just challenged your game. And that turns you on. Now nothing can take you down. It inspires you that it challenged your inspiration. And you just keep going higher and higher. If you are aiming toward the highest, then everything you do leads to the highest. And so the first thing you have to do is to be able to be strong enough to stay committed to something that's higher than these lower energies that are flapping around inside of you. There's nothing wrong with having the lower energies. You have the lower energies. It's part of being human. It's part of being a soul that's evolving. There are energies at every single level. There are thoughts of all different kinds. How many people have many, many different types of thoughts during a day? And nobody says they line up. Which ones are you going to determine what road you're on? That's what we're talking about with a life path. You just say, well, that one's not going to lead me anywhere. That's enough. I know that's not taking me where I want to go. Either I'm smart enough or I've already been there. Been there, done that. And so you take one look at it, and the minute that energy starts coming out of the mind or out of your emotions, same thing. Been there, done that. Of course, nobody's denying that there are energies that pull and look exciting at that moment. We know that. We're grown-ups. All kinds of energies do that. Where do they lead you? That is what a person on a life path says. A person who's not on a life path just says, how do I get it? How do I get more? How do I keep it? I don't want to experience that. How do I get away from that? That's all they care about. Is I want it, I don't want it. It doesn't lead anywhere. The lower energies don't lead anywhere. That's why they're lower energies. They're like a wind. I'm going to follow this wind. It's just a little wind. It's only going to last for a minute. You're going to be blown away. You'll end up on dry land. Nothing. Where did it take you? Okay. The higher energies, every time you go up, they have more sustenance. They last longer. They have more power to them. But you have to be able to transmute the lower energies into the higher energies. You don't suppress the lower energies and hate them and push them away and fight with them and deny them. No, but you don't go with them either. So a wise being, and that's what we've been talking about, goes higher. Now, if what you call higher is career, doing marriage, that's what I'm doing, that stuff. Well, that's better than following the real lower energies, right? But those are not high energies, and they will not fulfill you. You will still be bifurcated. You will not know what to do. You'll be confused. You won't understand the purpose of your life. You say, no, you don't understand. I love her so much. Okay, I'll come back in 5 years and check it out to see whether that's enough for the entire purpose of your life. It seems like it will be. I know it does. It seems like it will be when the energies are flowing that way. And then once the energies flow that way enough, all of a sudden another part of your being becomes the problem. While not having a significant other was your problem, then it looked like this was going to do it. I don't care where we live. I don't care if we have money or not. We live in a tent. Let's see how long that lasts. All right, you live in the tent, and I'll come back in 6 months. Not even going to give you 5 years. All right, and we'll see whether you think he should get a job, so you don't have to live in a tent anymore. It's like, I liked him, but he's a loafer, you know. Because there are other parts. You're bifurcated. You build these silos, and you put all your money, and like playing roulette, put all your money on one number. It may come up once or twice. It ain't staying that way. All right? The only one that stays is the one that is high enough that it's only about the energy inside of you. Why? Because that's what you're calling good, is the energy inside of you. The reason you wanted to go with the love thing was because of the energy inside of you. The reason you wanted to go with the career thing, because of the inspiration of the energy inside of you. The reason you wanted to go with what people think of you, fame and this and that, it's that, or whatever it is. It always ultimately was about the energy inside of you. What yoga says, and what spirituality says is, then make it be about the energy inside of you. Because that is what it's about. And so instead of using an outside indirect thing, which will always betray you, you finally get to the point where you say, it is about the energy inside of me. So I'm going to learn how to drive. How to drive what? How to drive that energy. I'm going to learn how to drive so that the energies are always going higher than they used to go. And that means letting go of what causes the energies to be drained and put down, and always raising them up and making life decisions. Notice I'm not renouncing. I hate the word renunciation. Renunciation means not doing what you want. No. You said you wanted to do this life goal. You said you wanted to have all your energies go up to the highest thing. So then you're not renouncing to not do the things that don't do that. It's not about renouncing. It's about committing. It's the opposite. It's not about renouncing what you want. It is about committing yourself to what you want. So you finally get to the point where you realize, I want these energies flowing up inside of me. How high? So high that I can't see straight. I want to wake up every morning with ecstasy pouring through my entire being, so I have trouble getting up. And then I can't wait to brush my teeth. I just love brushing my teeth, right? And just everything is that. No matter what's going on, you're just turned on by it. And you drive accordingly. And so then as life unfolds around you, you're passionate about what's happening. And then if things happen which are pulling parts of your energy that you've already been there and you know they're lower, you steer away from that. You don't suppress, you steer. And ultimately what will happen is all the energies inside of you will go up. You always end up at the level you're looking. You can't go higher than where you're looking, can you? If I'm looking at this angle, then that's all I see. So I can't go higher than that. If I'm looking up here, I may not get it all the time, but I'm aiming myself high. That is a spiritual path. A yogi, a spiritual being, aims up and then pulls the energy up. How? By not letting it go elsewhere. We talked about it last time. During your time of absolute clarity, when you have the most clarity you've ever had, try to look at the highest thing you can look at as how you would like to devote your life. Not this moment. How you'd like to devote your life. And then what's going to happen is that clarity will not stay. It will not stay because these other energies will get activated. Then you use the discipline of saying, that's where I saw and I'm going there. And you do that by, instead of letting those energies make your decision and decide where you're going, you just keep going where you were going. But what if I don't feel it? Keep going. And what will happen is the next time you feel it, it will be twice as strong as you felt it last time. Because you will have transmuted energies up to that by holding yourself there. And you just keep working with your energies. And I'm telling you, when it's said and done, all you will feel is uprushes of energy. All that energy used to do all this other stuff, every level, all of it, all your emotions, all your drives, all your stuff that's out there causing all this confusion, no more. All you feel is rushes of ecstasy pouring inside of you because all those energies went up to where you aimed them. They're going to go where you aim them. That's the purpose of this talk. Where are you aiming your life? And then you just, whatever you can see, set it to the highest, and then see if you're willing to stay committed to that. Not to what I said, to what you said, what you pick. You just commit yourself to that. And it will involve raising these lower energies. And at some point it becomes very easy. You see them try to do something, you just breathe them up. I taught you that. You just breathe them up. And they will learn to go up, and then more energy, and you have more energy, and you have more energy, until ultimately the Bible says, my cup runneth over. You will know exactly what that means. It builds, and all of a sudden it starts overflowing. And it's ecstatic to have those energies flow like that. And that will be your life. Now go do things. I'll stop it. I tell you, that's the turning point. I want to be able to look at you and know what you have flowing inside of you is so beautiful every day, all the time, that you know there's nothing more beautiful outside than what's going on inside. Now you're safe. The only thing the outside can do is bring it down if you let it. Because what's going on inside of you is the highest thing that can go on anyways. And then what happens is it doesn't bring you down, it makes you higher. Everything just keeps stimulating those flows. So that is available to all of you. I'm glad we came up with a new term, your life path. It's not those silos. Now notice your life path covers everything. Doesn't mean you don't get married. You're not doing anything. You're looking past that, so who knows what happens. Doesn't mean you don't have a career, doesn't mean you don't have finances, doesn't mean anything. It means you didn't make that your life path. You set your goal higher, so all the things under it happen naturally. Wherever you set yourself, if it transcends these lower energies, they just unfold without you messing with them. And so it becomes a totally natural thing. Marriage can become part of your life path, only because it fit within your life path. It isn't your life path. Same thing with your career and with finance, everything. You just keep it high. That's high. You get high by looking high, reaching high. All right? And that's spiritual. And then I said I would bring in the word God. That energy that starts rushing up inside of you, there's another name for it. God. That's the Holy Spirit. That energy, once it gets strong enough rushing up inside of you, will pull your consciousness into it at a level that you'll have trouble staying out. And then eventually someday you'll say, well, why am I resisting it? That energy is so beautiful. You just let go, and then the energy takes you up. Now there's your life path. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all things shall be added unto you. That you let those energies and that highest state be what you're looking for, and it will pull you up to that. Jagrata.